Ano at Andrew Pedro. My name's Andrew Pedro, and I live here in Sacaton, District 3. Well, I've lived here in the community most of my life. Um, as far as work goes, I do consulting work for residential programs for youth, as well as tribal education department, and now some collaborations between myself and the Huhugam Heritage Center, all revolving around cultural projects. Most of my work is done with plants. I do a lot of gardening. I've been gardening half of my life now, but also I grew up with gardens. My father was a pretty avid gardener, so I grew up with growing things in my yard, finding watermelons in my yard. That became like a really grounding experience in my life. Later on, I grew up with my grandmother, who talked to me about gardening as a teenager, and she wanted a garden, so I made a garden. From there, it just became an essential part of my life to learn about plants and even wild plants. My grandmother was one of my biggest mentors in my life, the late Andrew Pedro, which I will say, most people would not consider her what you would call a traditional or cultural person, but she was an elderly person. She was nearing 88 at her passing, over 10 years ago or so. And from that, she had a certain level of knowledge and lived experience of what people consider cultural or traditional, even. So in total, we had nearly 50 people in attendance. And I will say right now that way more than I expected to actually come. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed myself, and I hope everybody enjoyed themselves being out there. For years, I've done this on my own. But I would invite people. I would even post on social media to say, if anyone's interested, you're more than welcome to join my family. And every year there was maybe 1 or 2 people that would come out per season. So not many people. Maybe it was just because, again, being nervous to learn something new, maybe worried about the heat, no matter what it is. But to see that many people interested and willing to be out there is very motivating to keep doing these types of projects.
Today and yesterday we harvested the Bahithaj, the cactus fruit, and I enjoyed it overall. I was super excited to be out there and just experience and live in the moment. And I spent time with my brother and my friends, and it was really fun being able to use the cactus sticks, the ribs of the cactus, and collect the fruit. It was a little bit of a struggle in some parts, but we worked through it and we worked as a team, and that's, I would say, is the most important part.
You have nature's knife. This is a stem from the fruit. When you knock it down, you break it off. The fruit is in your hand. Oh, you have to have like gloves because there's stickers on the fruit, on the shell. And then you can use the crease-up bushes to make like a little brush to take off the sticker. And you use this as a little knife, and you just cut it.
Last year I only harvested the fruit. I didn't get to make the juice. So it's like a learning moment for me to see how it's done and hopefully be able to continue it on with them or with my family as well. And it's important to continue on teachings like this because it's a part of who we are as people, as O'odham, to continue it on to the next generations.
I would ask questions about how you make it. I would watch people make it. I've seen others in other programs that they had in other communities make the sito, but I never did it myself. So it took me some years to gather up the courage to go out there on my own, and eventually I started to take my own family, my siblings and my nieces and nephews, to go out and harvest this Bahithaj in the desert. I do believe in our autumn hymn. I do believe the things that I grew up hearing about our autumn hymn, little things about the plants, little things about the animals, things when I was a kid and as a teenager, people didn't lean into it as much, I feel like. But there was always an interest, this sense of identity that I feel can be a struggle at times for many people. And understanding that we come from this long line of people. Now I say that because we appreciate our beginnings, we appreciate our ancestry. And yet, our lives are completely different now. We have cars, we have houses, we have ACs, jobs, whatever it is we do in our lives. But to be able to go out to the desert to harvest this wild fruit maybe once a year is just to appreciate life. You're able to appreciate where we come from. We can say we appreciate where we come from. We can say we're proud of being Autumn, or proud of being whatever type of indigenous person you are. But when it comes to true sacrifice, people may take that as harsh, but to me, it's just being out there. It's being able to walk in the desert, to be able to be among these plants and animals, to keep myself grounded. It helps me build that connection and over the years of constantly going out to the desert for different things, but particularly for going out there to pick this Bahithaj. It reminds me that I'm not alone.